Hey parents, tag, you're it. This is what we're making. Hello everyone and welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. Parents, you heard me right. It is your turn right now. If you have a child who is going into school, who's going to be starting school in the fall, the time is now to start getting them ready. I am going to show you in this tutorial how to make a learning mat just like this that will help your child learn how to trace their letters and their numbers and some shapes. Now, you will need a Cricut Maker. I do recommend a Cricut Maker for this project. Everything I'm going to use, of course, I'm going to show you all of my materials and I'm going to take you step by step through the process. At the end of this video, if you find it helpful, remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The materials that I'm using for this project include my Cricut Maker. I'll use a long green Cricut standard grip mat. I'm using these flexible cutting mats that I purchased from Dollar Tree. And I'll use this lint roller to kind of clean up the debris after I'm finished with the engraving. You will need the number 41 engraving tip. Looks like this. And if you're going to be doing this project with the Cricut Explore Air 2 that is already out of warranty, you can use a Chomas tip. This is a third-party tool that you can purchase from Amazon. Now let's head into Cricut Design Space so I can show you how I'm going to set up my project so that it fits perfectly on this mat. Before going over to Cricut Design Space, the first thing we'll do is go to dafont.com and download one of their fonts that's called KG Primary Dots. Get it downloaded and extracted and installed so that you can upload it into Cricut Design Space. I am in Cricut Design Space and I'm connected to the Cricut Maker. The first thing I'm going to do is go over to the left side and grab a shape. I'm going to grab a rectangle and then unlock it and resize it to 11 by 14. I'm changing the width actually to 14 and the height to 11. Now that I have the rectangle resized, I'm going to change the color of it to a lighter gray. And my goal is to keep the rectangle behind the text as I start typing. What I'm going to do now is click on the T for text and go and find that KG Primary Dots font that I just downloaded from dafont.com. That font comes with 4 options and I'm using the KG Primary Dots with no space. So I'm clicking on it and I'm just going to double click in that text option and start to type the letters. For my first line, I'm typing the letters A through G with the uppercase letter first, followed by the lowercase letter. Once I got to the end of the row, I decided to change the rectangle to a guide so that I could see what I was doing and resize the lines accordingly. I decided that the appropriate amount of space for each line would be right at a width of 13 and a height of 1.5. So once I typed the first line all the way from A to G, I centered it in the middle of the guide and then I duplicated it to type the next line of letters. Once I finished the second line, I made sure that it had the same amount of space as the first line, which was the 13 by 1.5. I duplicated that line and then I continued with the next line of letters, which was O through U. And I just repeated the same process. Once I finished all the letters, I duplicated that O line again, and then I typed the numbers. But remember, if you're making this, you can change it up and personalize it to your liking. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do 9-0 or 9-10, and I just opted to go with 9 and 10. But when you make yours, you will make it exactly how you want it. Once I was finished with the numbers, I moved the lines up closer together, and I decided to add some shapes at the bottom. Once again, right here, this is where you would change it up to make it exactly how you want it. Once I had the 4 shapes at the bottom, I selected all 4 and I clicked align and center vertically to make sure they were all on the same level. And then once I had them exactly where I wanted them, I attached them. And then I went through the whole design, making sure that everything was centered exactly how I wanted. I turned the guide off and I selected the entire design and I attached it. Once the file was attached, I went up to the top panel and I changed the operation type from basic cut to engrave. I decided to save this project so I would not have to retype all those letters and numbers and shapes again. And now it was time to prepare the mat for engraving. Once again, you will need the 12 by 24 inch mat. I did mirror my design because I knew I wanted to have the engraving on the opposite side. When I went to browse all materials, I selected the option for tooling leather, 6 to 7 ounce, and I clicked done. Once I got to the next step, I selected the default pressure. Everything I'll do from here will be back on the camera. These mats come 2 in a pack, and on one side of the mat it has like more of a frosted look, and the other side is frosted but is just a little less smooth. I have the frosted side on the mat, and what I'm going to do is use some painter's tape to tape this down so it stays in place. And I'm also going to move my star wheels all the way over to the right. If you have never moved your star wheels over, it may take a little bit of pressure or force. That's okay. Just get them out of the way. You don't need them rolling across the chopping mat during the engraving process. Just kind of squeeze and just move them all the way over to the right. Now I'm removing the fine point blade and I'm replacing that with the engraving blade, which is the number 41 Cricut blade. I'm putting that in clamp B. Now I'm going to add some painter's tape to secure the chopping mat to the Cricut cutting mat. I have the mat completely taped down. Now I'm going to press the flashing C and get this process started. I'm definitely going to speed this part up. The engraving process has finished, and now I'm going to remove the painter's tape and remove the mat from the machine so we can get a better look at it. This is how the mat looks without anything behind it. You can see the letters clearly, but it looks better with the black cardstock behind it. When I started practicing with the dry erase markers, I had a hard time removing the ink from the mat. So what I did was I just took the regular dry erase markers that I use all the time here in my craft room, and I just kind of practiced on it to see if the ink would come off easily. And to my surprise, it did not. So those erasers didn't work. What I ended up using was a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to get the ink off, and it worked perfectly. This is the finished learning mat. Leave a comment below and let me know how you would change this up for your child or your upcoming students in the fall. Let me know what you'll add or what you'll take away from this. If you have found this helpful, remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.